What's up?
One more exam from chemistry today.
This afternoon or this tonight?
Afternoon.
How's
5 p.m.
how's it going?
I think good because I do all these tasks for the 3 days and nights.
So things are good because you're studying like a crazy person. Hey, Ina,
Hi everyone.
how are you?
Much better after I wrote essay.
Oh, I know, and I never meant to send you a message, but anytime you want to talk, Ina, I really appreciated your message. At least for me, students, we got to feel how we feel. It's all good.
I'm sorry about it. I got to panic. I got to stress.
No, I completely understand, Ina.
My mom always said such a proverb in Russian like
Yeah, what is it?
the eyes are afraid, but the hands are doing. It was about me. I was thinking a lot how to write. I got stressed, but when I begin to write, it's easy. Like it's interesting. It's I spent all day for essay, but it was amazing experience.
Oh, I won't. That's makes me happy.
I have a funny story about this.
Yeah, please.
I was thinking about the theme of the story for maybe for 5 or 7 days. I don't know what about I need to write. I called all my friends, all my family members, and one my friend said, "It's easy. Write about, for example, photography." Okay, and she said this word, and I understood all my text.
Wow.
I don't know why. It's the first time in my life.
Wow. That's, again, I'm so lucky to be listening to you. That's great. Ruba, how are you? It's good to see you.
Fine.
Hello.
Hey, Rena, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm okay.
Fine.
Hey. Привет.
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 Привет. Or in California, just what's up? What's up? How you doing?
Все, Киш, іди. Тебе зараз зум. Давай, будь ласка. Біжи. Sorry.
No, this is life. This is normal. How are you doing, Irina?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Good. A little bit sleepy.
Sleepy?
Yes, I'm not at home. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm in Oregon, in
Oh,
Portland.
wow. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
How are you, Ruba?
Fine.
Good. Yeah. Cool. Well, we'll see. I think I'm glad to hear about Ina and Gloria that you reached. I think something does happen when we're writing, if we're lucky, where you hit the wall, like you hit a wall, and then if you just kind of keep going, something happens and something changes. That doesn't mean everything feels good or happier, but something happens, and then once that happens, you can't go backward. It's something I love about the writing process, and it's hard because in a class we're so obsessed with the final product and the grade and all that stuff. So it's a very different situation. But when we're actually writing, I think some kind of magical stuff can kind of happen if we just trust the process. You got to just turn it over, be like, God or some great spirit, someone help me. I can't do this on my own. I need some help.
My husband also takes ESL 325.
Okay.
He had to write a narrative essay, not linguistic, just narrative about changes in his life.
Yes.
And after I his due was after 1 week after my due.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
I already have written my essay, and he he feels stress about his essay, and oh, what I need to say. And I say, it's easy, it's just sit and try it. I'm done. I'm full.
You got to be professor. So he must be taking Sanda's 325 class, Professor Valku.
No, Elizabeth Room.
Oh, with Beth. Okay, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Speaking of other professors, we've got Mark Professor Rao is here. I'll tell you more about what's going on and why he's here. But the other white man that you see in the room, he's a professor in the department with me. There he is. Look around.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey, Sapide.
Oh.
Who else is coming in? Nasser, good to see you. How are you?
Hello, I am fine, thank you.
Excellent. Olga, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Excellent. Week 9, everybody. Week 9. So just like usual, we'll wait a few minutes and give people a few more minutes to get in the room, and then we'll get into our small groups and get started for today. While we do that, I will share my screen here. I see a comment in the chat. Perfect. Cool. Any questions? Any sort of like minor questions we can talk about before we get started for today? Because I got to hear from Ina, I got to hear from Gloria, Irina a little bit about the essay, how happy we are to be done with the essay, how stressful it was to be writing the essay. But like I said last week, we are done. I'm not going to talk too much more about narrative writing. You're going to get my grade and feedback, and then you can revise and resubmit. So I did have some one-on-one conferences with people this week, so we can keep talking about the narrative, but it won't be in class. So are there any last questions or ideas about that aside from grades? Where's my grades? Those are coming. But aside from that, any other questions about the narrative writing?
I have a question. Did you give feedback already or not?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm. Yeah, please, Irina.
Have you finished checking our essays or
No,
not yet?
I will. I knew that you would all be sad and stressed, but this week, I was not able to grade and give feedback yet. I will, I promise. I'm learning during COVID times to not say like by this day, because then life happens or some crazy stuff in my family happens and then I don't have it done and then I feel bad. So I will just say as soon as possible. As soon as possible. And whenever I give you grade and feedback, you'll still be able to revise and resubmit. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. But I know, like I've told you, I was a student not that long ago. I know that feeling of waiting for the grade. I know it's terrible, but so I'll go as fast as I can, I promise.
It's okay. It's much easier than before I write it.
Yeah, it's easy. It's easier to wait and not be writing than to be stressed.
Now I feel that I am pretty good. Not perfect, but I'm okay.
I'll take pretty good. I'll take pretty good. That's fine with me. Hey, Ting's coming in.
Hi, teacher.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Excellent.
Yeah. So sorry, I missed the first part.
That's
so
okay.
Yeah, my assignment hasn't been graded, so I think yeah, it's a problem.
This is a big problem. Yes, I was saying to everybody, no, they are not graded. Yes, I will grade them as soon as possible. But I was thinking of you because today we're going to talk a lot about paraphrasing and summarizing. So nothing to do on the narrative thing unless you have questions about sort of last minute questions about structure. But if it's about grades and stuff like that, we'll talk about that after your grades and my feedback are in for the first essay, which will be as soon as possible.
Yeah, thank you.
When I'm mentally and emotionally stable, if that day ever comes.
Yeah, so is it normal that because my previous assignments, like lesson 7, lesson 14, 15 haven't been
Yeah,
graded?
I'll grade 15s are, so Ting's kind of getting into, so I'll get started so we can
Yeah.
get to our small groups, because Ting is sort of, as usual, asking really thoughtful questions about stuff in Canvas and grading and stuff. So again, now that we've got folks and we'll get started, I just wanted to say that you see Mark, Professor Rao, he's got Mount Fuji behind him. Professor Rao is a full professor here in the ESL department, and he's here to observe and watch our class. He's watching me, not you guys, right? So I'm in my second year full-time at ARC. So part of that process to decide if I get tenure, right, if I get to be here forever and ever and ever, is for people to come watch me teach. So again, he's not here to watch you guys. He's really just here to watch me. All you have to do is be your wonderful selves, and that's it. So Mark, since this looks like a crew, will you just introduce yourself again, say hi, and that's it, and then we'll get going.
Okay.
There we go. I'm here to learn English. That's what I want to do. So, am I in the right place?
What do you guys?
I'm not sure.
I recognize some of you guys. Hi, everybody.
Hi, teacher.
Cool.
Hi.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Mark. Thank you for being
Yeah, just good to see everybody. And I'm just here to casually watch and see if, you know, I can learn something. And I usually do.
awesome. Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I was the student at your class
I
Hey.
recognize
last
you all.
semester. Hi.
And Chu Yin Ting Man, you look very familiar. Maybe you were my
Yeah.
student.
You look
Like-
familiar too.
Like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Is she in your grammar? Is she in the grammar class, Mark?
Yeah, Chu Yin Ting Man is one of my best students.
Oh, thank you so much.
That does not surprise me, Mark. Yeah, Ting is a very good student. She always wants her grade right now to know what her mistakes were, and then I have to say, I'm sorry. Please be patient while I grade.
That happens with everybody.
Yeah, I'll comfort myself. All right, cool. Thank you again, Mark. Thank you for being here. So
Yeah, good to see everybody.
yeah.
Thank you.
Here's what we're doing today. So like usual, we're going to do our check-in. I'm going to put you into 3 small groups. Then we're going to review paraphrasing in lesson 15. I know Ting was asking about that last week, so I do want to spend a little more time on paraphrasing, because now that we are done with narrative writing, we're going to switch to hyperfocus, and we're going to start to look at more academic types of writing, which means we need to keep thinking about paraphrasing, summarizing, and quoting. So what we're really going to do is do a final review of paraphrasing, but really that's a lifelong practice, you guys, and talk about the difference between paraphrasing and summarizing, because we're going to, I'm sure you've done summarizing before, but we're going to talk about how to do that sort of at this level and as you get ready for English 300. So we'll definitely do paraphrasing versus summarizing. If we have time, I'm going to start to introduce this genre that we're going to practice before the end of the semester here, called summary and response writing. And then I'll tell you what's in Canvas and new lessons and that kind of stuff. So here's what we're going to do first, though, in our small groups, as a way to sort of just check in with each other and start to talk about some of these ideas. Here are your 3 check-in questions. Write them down, take a picture. I'll send them into the groups and broadcast them as well. But first, number 1, we're halfway done with the semester. How you feeling? Number 2, what's something that is still difficult about paraphrasing? Any answer is okay here, except everything. Don't say everything. Give us something specific to work on. And question number 3, for you, in your experience, your opinion, what you already know, what is the difference between paraphrasing and summarizing? Okay, so these are the 3 questions I want you to talk about in your group warm-up, group check-in. Any questions about these questions? Silence is good, so I'm going to get the breakout rooms ready. Give me one moment here. All right, I'm going to put you into 3 groups and I'll see you in about 10 minutes, okay? Everybody got the questions?
Yes.
All right, Ruba gave me thumbs up. That's good enough for me. Here we go. Rooms are open. And Mark, you can just hang out with me. I usually don't go into these warm-up meetings. Oh, and Claudio just came in. And Hangama got, hey, Claudia, Claudia, we're just going into small rooms right now. So I'm going to send you into one and they can tell you what we're talking about. Okay.
Can I skip that?
Yeah. If you want to go into the small group and just tell them, you can turn the screen off and stay muted if you want, but just go into the room, say hi, and then mute yourself. Okay.
Okay. Can I have a question first?
Sure. What's up?
And for the last assignment, does say I'm late?
Oh, okay. I'm not too worried about it, Claudio. We can talk.
Oh.
Yeah, and if it's about a individual grade or something, we can text me maybe if you want. I just don't want to talk about it while we're in the recording right now.
Okay. Okay.
Cool. Okay,
All right,
I'll send you to room 3 and then just let them know that you're going to keep the screen off for the time being.
Thank you, Professor.
Thanks. Hangama, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I don't know. I have got some trouble with connection. If you please try to send me in a group.
No problem. I'm going to send you to room 2. If you can go and can join, go ahead. If you can't, that's okay. You can just listen, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, of course. So yeah, usually I'll give them about maybe 10 minutes maximum just to sort of talk to each other without the teacher hovering over them. We'll do small groups later on too. And then I'll kind of jump in group to group. But at the beginning, I just like to give them time to talk to each other. That's kind of what, and they're used to it by now too. Hey, Liz.
Hey, morning.
What's up? We're in small groups. Can I send you to group?
Sure.
Who do I want to send you with?
Doesn't really matter.
I know, but you know, I'll send you to group 1. Irina and Ruba are in there, okay?
Okay,
And
thank you.
they'll let you know what we're talking about.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Elizabeth was just in my grammar class as well.
Oh, fantastic. She's you know, like it's like every class actually. I was talking to Patrick a little bit about this last week. It's amazing how the dynamics of face-to-face do to me show up in this digital space too, in terms of like student dynamics, who's comfortable speaking and not speaking, like who hangs back. It's like, oh, okay, like some things do seem to remain consistent. But yeah, Liz is one of those students who's always ready to jump in and lead the charge and lots of energy and yeah.
Yeah, she's pretty motivated, it appears.
Yeah.
And the class you have, the class I have right before this one, the one that Elizabeth and Ting are in, it's the Grammar 320. It's pretty demanding.
Yeah.
How are you doing in the Grammar 310?
I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm really enjoying it. I'm using this book that I got to use with Dana Ferris at UC Davis, and it's a really sort of not traditional, I think, approach to teaching grammar. It's really sentence-based. It's really, really writing-based. And after about 2 weeks of them freaking out, I think they are really enjoying it. And their sentence structure, I've never been able to use this as a textbook for a sustained course. I used it as a TA for Professor Ferris's English grammar structure class, but that was mostly native students. So this was a big leap for me to try it, and their sentence structure is so much better. Now, some of the things that are addressed in more traditional textbooks, subject-verb agreement or verb tense, there's still some of that stuff, but I'm just so pleased with the difference in how they're putting together sentences. So that's been really exciting.
And what's the text called?
It's called Language Power. It's called Language Power. So there's multiple chapters about verbs, but it's not like a chapter about the present progressive or a chapter about the past perfect. It's mostly sort of asking students to start to think about the function of verbs within English sentence structure. And then I'm sort of supplementing it with other materials to help them explicitly practice the sort of discrete formation of the different grammatical constructions. So, you know, it's the first time I'm trying it, so it's very hit or miss. But the things that are hitting, I'm very pleased with.
Huh. I'm always interested in looking at new texts. It's, you know, the approaches that we've been using over the years, you know, there's a lot of flexibility with the grammar course, which is nice, you know.
Yeah.
That's one of the advantages. I mean, I've seen people who have done just almost a totally oral communicative approach in grammar, and it's worked out quite well.
Interesting.
That sort of that direct immersion type class, you know. And kind of like in high school, when I was younger, they would just like come in and just start speaking Spanish from day one, and you know, you got on board or you didn't, but it was like, you know, pretty fast. And then there's other people who just do like a kind of a modified grammar translation approach from like the old days, you know, just conjugating, and that works too, you know. So what works for you is what will work for them usually.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think the other thing is the way I was speaking to a friend who I met at Davis. She's back in Japan now, but I was talking to her this week.
Oh, I just saw her up there on the mountain.
She's there, Carrie. She's in Tokyo. She wants to get out of the city, but yeah, say hi to Carrie when you're there. But she teaches English, and she's more interested. She's an American, but she's very interested in teaching Japanese to students who come abroad to study in Japan when it's possible to travel again. But she's a language teacher as well. And we were just saying, for me, I think the bias so much in college and community college settings is still like, especially with AB 705, is you got to get them to pass English 300, which means the bias, for better and for worse, is so much about writing. And I would love to be able to like play with more music and poetry and stuff if it was just about language acquisition. But when I hear, especially at the 325 level, how many students want to continue for an associate's or a bachelor's, it's like, well, then you're going to need to write a lot, you know. I mean, like, you've got a lot of writing to do. So I think that's my bias. I tend to imagine grammar for writing because that's, like I said, for better and for worse, where much of this goes.
Well, the books are, you know, obviously laid out more for that. One of the things that I've found in the past, and you know, this is always a double-edged sword, is that, okay, I understand that I have to gear my grammar for writing. They have to pass 300. They're going to be in like 325 and so forth.
Yeah.
So do you just skip over the chapters about how to form questions? Because, you know, it's embarrassing when they're in like the 340 level and they still say, you will give back our tests. And it's like, come on, you know, like your 800th semester of English and you still don't know how to say, you know, a normal question. And the reason isn't because the student is a bad student. They wouldn't have gotten that far if they were. It's because we don't teach conversational English enough. That's my opinion. But I get the focus is that we got to get them ready for the test.
Yeah.
So I rewrote all of the grammar curriculum this last year. And I put in there under the SLOs, this was before this whole COVID thing, a heavier influence on making sure that they are conversationally fluent in grammar as well. So things that I in the past had skipped over just because I felt, well, it doesn't affect the writing. Like, how do you pronounce the ed suffix in past tense? You know.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, it's still up to the individual instructor how they want to proceed. But in the SLOs, you'll see a little bit more of an enhancement of conversational English, because a lot of people here, let's face it, not everybody in your grammar course, or even my grammar course, is planning on transferring to a four-year university.
No, they're not.
A lot of them are Uber drivers, and they would like to have their English a little stronger.
Yeah.
And so we have to not forget them either. I know that the school has this, everybody, you know, geared towards transfer, but the reality is not everybody in our department, all of our students want to do that.
No, that's for sure. Yeah, that's for sure.
So that's the double-edged sword. You want to make sure that you're accommodating everybody equitably, you know?
Yeah.
And that's harder when not everybody has the same goal.
I agree.
But the department in the college and the state, of course, has the goal of transfer.
Yeah.
But, you know, we can ourselves as a department, I think, measure success in other ways. Maybe it won't translate but we ourselves will know that it's a success if somebody comes in, takes a few classes, and uses that information as a stepping stone to promotion or better fluency in their job, or, you know, I mean, they live in this country, just learning more English, I feel, is by itself an admirable goal.
I agree.
You know,
No,
so
and
I don't know that everybody has to be a good writer, but I understand that that's where we are right now with the funding and everything.
yeah, exactly. Oh, and my bias is just the timing of how I came up in the discipline too. It's like, I mean, yeah, I've been socialized into that too. You know what I mean, Mark? And of course, so I for better and for worse. And it's like, I'm just gonna kind of know I'm gonna do what I kind of was taught to do, because especially right now, trying to, you know, nothing, I don't know how to do anything in this context. So, but I love what you said there about linking verb formation, the written verb formation, to pronunciation, of course. And I'm just right there with you on that. I'm total agreement about that.
The nice thing about the Zoom is the ability to quickly break out into breakout groups. You know, I like that. And I see that Sura is here. I know who Sura is. Hi, Sura. I don't know if you're.
Yeah, hi, Professor.
Nice. I don't see you, but it's nice to see your name again.
Yeah, thank you. I just I can't open my camera.
No, that's okay.
Because my child with me.
No, you know, it's okay. In this
Okay.
class, it's all good. I sent you an invitation to breakout room 2 if you want to go. We're only going to be there we're in small groups, only for another minute or two. If you can just hang out and stay in this room if you want, Sura.
As you like, Professor.
No,
I have no problem.
Stay here. I'm going to bring the group back in about 2 minutes. So stay with us, mute yourself, and then you can listen when everyone's back.
Okay, thank you, Professor.
Of course.
I think a lot of our department, Jeff, over the years too, has been a reflection of Sac State, which you're not a Sac State person, I don't believe.
No, I'm not.
If I recall, because unbeknownst to you, or maybe whatever, in the earlier stages of the hiring, I was on that committee. So I had the pleasure to go through transcripts and applications and so forth. It was sort of the vetting committee to see who we want to interview.
Well, that's good. I worked very hard on those. That, you know, they make us write thousands of words to even apply. So I definitely put my foot into that stuff. So that's good. I got to see some of that.
And it's interesting on the committee how different people have different focuses, you know. But one of the things I look at is, where did you go to school and what did you study? I know I'm a little bit of an outlier there. I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that the folks who come from Sac State may be worthy teachers and stuff, but some of them are a little underprepared, I would think, linguistically, for a lot of what we're doing here.
Yeah.
And you get into areas of, you know, semantics and pragmatics and phonology and things like this. And it's not just theoretical. There's applications and language acquisition that, you know, could be helpful. But out of Sac State, that program there is basically just grooming people to work in the writing center. So everything's writing focused. And so you'll see people here, you know, applying, you know, with like masters and everything, and they maybe have like one semantics course in the whole time they've ever, you know, like one grammar course. So for those folks, it's understandably hard to, I think, you know, teach like a grammar 320 or stuff, because a lot of the material they have to first learn themselves, you know, not so much as a native speaker, but as a person who can teach it. You know, it's one thing to know it, it's another thing to teach it.
I totally agree. I think it's why, even after getting the first master's, I knew that I wanted to go back and study linguistics. At first I thought it'd be a PhD, and then I was like, oh, I don't want to write a dissertation. But I knew that I wanted to study linguistics because I felt comfortable enough teaching grammar. But if someone, I mean, the depth of knowledge required from a syntactical point of view, when you're talking about analyzing academic length sentences, or even some just everyday utterances that if you're asking about, like, for example, the parts of speech, I mean, it's easy to get in the weeds really quickly. You know what I mean? When students are going, what's that? What's it function? I mean, I found that out really quick. And that was one reason I knew I wanted to spend a little time with syntax trees, but I did find it easy to get lost in the theory there, to your point as well. So it's nice now to be able to have lived in this deeply theoretical side for long enough and then be like, you know what, at the end of the day, all that matters is how it shows up in context. So let's focus on that. So, but it was
I don't recall directly, but I just remember slightly that your preparation in school was pretty broad and pretty good. So good for you.
Thanks. Yeah, it took me a long time to figure out what I was gonna do, and I knew even in the midst of that I was very good at I'm very good at school, both being a student and I feel like I'm getting pretty good at teaching. But so I tried a lot of different stuff. That's for sure.
So here's my semantics joke as everybody comes back. So Professor Jeff says to the class about double negatives, and he says to the class, Professor Jeff says, half of the languages have double negative, and half of the languages in the world have positive negative. So for example, like a Spanish or Russian will say, I don't need no. And then there's other languages like English that says, I don't need any, right? So double negative or just positive negative. But, says Professor Jeff, there are no languages in the world that have double positive that mean that when it means negative. So in the back of the class, Sura says, yeah, right.
It's true.
So that gets into the whole semantics, pragmatic speech act thing, where what you say and what you mean, totally different.
I agree completely. Pragmatics, if I was gonna give a life to linguistics, the only thing I thought I could continually look at was pragmatics because it's so interesting. Because like you just said, it's entirely based on human behavior and context, which I love.
I enjoyed that part of it. It doesn't probably make you a super great teacher, but it makes you hopefully a better teacher.
I don't know that I don't know that having any PhD makes you a great teacher. More knowledgeable, hopefully, is a given, but yeah, great teacher is a different thing in my experience.
Well, yeah, and sometimes the PhD people don't make the best teachers because let's face it, they don't know where to draw the line.
True. That's what I try to tell my G310 is like, I love that question, but I don't want to talk about it because we'll talk about it for 30 minutes and no one will learn anything. So let's save that for another higher level class.
Okay, so I'm going to mute and then observe here as everybody returns.
Sounds good. All right, welcome back, everybody. I got to talk to Mark while you were talking to each other. So I hope it was good to see each other and remember that we are all somehow taking this class together. What I really want to know is, we can talk about anything about, especially question 2, if you want to talk about question 2. But what I do really want to talk about today, since today is about the difference between paraphrasing and summarizing, is how did you guys in your group answer that question 3? And I want to put this together in this slide about what we know, what we think we know, what do we need to know. So what did you talk about? What's the difference between paraphrasing and summarizing? Ruba, you look excited. Please go ahead.
Okay. About paraphrasing.
Yep, please.
It just say the same meaning, but in another word. Other words.
Love it. Great. What else? Gloria, go ahead.
In summarizing, we need to think about main ideas and main points, but without quotations of author's meaning and author's text.
Got it. Love it. Great.
I will say without proving.
Without proving?
Yeah.
You want to put that this box or this box? Quotations is for proving, I think, probably.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay. Who else?
I think the summarizing is well, summarizing is always shorter.
Love it. Shorter than what?
Shorter than the main topic.
Love it. I'm gonna change words just a little bit. Yeah, it's shorter than the original text, the thing you're summarizing, right?
Paraphrasing has to be a similar length.
Yep. I'm happy because I know that we did review this, but again, all of this is all excellent stuff. This is great. What else? Irina and Liz, great. Thank you. Gloria, you got more?
Maybe paraphrasing need to have quotation mark rules.
Great. Okay. Use quotes. Question mark. Maybe.
Citation. You can use citation in paraphrasing.
On 1 second, I'm just going to mute Sapida. Can you say again for me? Use a quote or citation in the paraphrase or in the summary?
Paraphrasing.
Got it. Okay. What else?
Summary like conclusion.
Oh, say more about that, Ruba.
Summarizing like conclusion.
Yeah, but what? Say a little bit. What does that mean? Tell me a little bit more about why are you saying it's like a conclusion?
Because we have an original paragraph essay and we conclude something, understand something, and we put it as a just like main idea or understand the main idea.
Great. I love this. Yeah, at the end of a conclusion of an essay, right? The idea is, the rule that we teach you is you're not supposed to introduce new ideas in the conclusion. And that's true. In a summary, you don't need your own ideas. You don't need anything new. You just need to take the main idea and explain that, right? Olga, you got your hand? Please.
Yeah, in our group, we were talking about same idea like Ruba said, that when we are doing summarizing, we can conclude and put our own ideas and our own thoughts.
Okay, that's for, okay, yeah. Okay, well, I have that, I'm ready to talk about that on the next slide, so I won't say anything about that right now too much. I love it. Anybody else? Here's a question I'll ask too. I want to hear from maybe 1 or 2 more people. This is something that I think is really important. What we are talking about here is mostly how to do this, right? How to summarize or how to paraphrase, what they are. Here's one question is, when, I want to ask about when is it good to summarize? When is it good to paraphrase? This is something we don't talk about as much. Irina, go ahead.
Maybe paraphrasing, you paraphrase only some paragraph or some text, not whole story or whole movie or whole conversation. Summarizing, you can say only 2 sentences which explain whole story, whole book, or whole life. But paraphrasing only these short texts, or I don't know.
Got it.
This is for me. This is difference. Yes, between
I love it.
them.
Good. Irina said so many good ideas. I won't say anything too much about them. I'll just add one thing. When Irina was speaking, I was thinking length, right? How much do you have to write, right? If you've only got 200 words, you probably want a summary and not a paraphrase, for all of the reasons that Irina just said, right? Because yeah, so length, how long was something that I thought when I was listening to Irina there too. Good. Gloria, come back. What's up?
Can I ask? I want to ask about that. Can we say that we summarize narrative stories, but not documentive? How to say, big books or maybe scientists?
I think what you're asking is, what is it like to summarize different texts? Is that the idea? Like, and is that the idea? Because you were saying the difference between a whole book, right? We could write a summary of a 300-page book for sure. And then we could also write a summary of a short newspaper article, right? Like both, we could write summaries of those things. So is your question, so what's your question connected to that, Gloria?
I thought the summarizing is only for the easiest texts, not for hard books.
Oh, I've got bad news, Gloria. I've got bad news. Not for this class. We're going to start hyper focus next week, right? It's here on my bookshelf there. I'm not going to ask you to summarize the whole book, but if you keep going, or if if you're studying nursing or something, you might summarize, a 20-page article. Yeah. So you might have to summarize long, complicated texts. Just things to look forward to. I don't mean to give you bad news. Irina, what you got?
Yes, I I'm thinking about the difference between them. Maybe summarizing is this is main idea about something. A paraphrasing, it's not main idea for this text. It's only short for one paragraph, and we don't know its main idea or not. Maybe it's only details, but it's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very happy because we did get to talk about this already, right? These first 2 points on this chart that we're coming up with together here, if I could say there's only the biggest difference between these two things, it's exactly what Irina was saying there in Gloria too. A summary is where you think about the main ideas and the main points. And a paraphrase is focus on the details, say the same meaning, use other words, right? Now, easy to say this, right? But it's difficult to do in practice. Pardon me, but this is kind of the big difference between these two. And I've got now I've got the slides that I want to look at and share together. Anything else we want to add here or questions we have before I jump into the lesson for today?
Not really.
I want to say something.
Yeah, Liz says no. Ruba, I see Ruba and Nasser. Ruba, please.
Okay. When I did some papers, at the beginning we have introduction or literature review. So I have some authors do something. When I talk about their works, I use paraphrasing. Say the same idea, but in my words to avoid plagiarism. Okay. And at the end, I put some summarizing for my work. I say in section 2, the mathematical model. Section 3 is, for example, result and discussion.
Yes.
And at the end, we have a conclusion.
Yes.
So this is the difference between when I use paraphrasing and when I use summarizing.
Perfect. Yeah, Ruba, you're going to love Ruba. Again, like I've said already, all of you know Ruba is a professor and an engineer, and you're going to love research writing, Ruba, because it's exactly as you described. That it's the type of writing that's like a math equation, right? Different sections, different parts of the writing. You can do paraphrasing. Different parts you can do summarizing. And I love that this is the second time, the more I work with Ruba and understand how you think, I understand why you're saying a summary is like a conclusion, because of course, in a research article, yes, the conclusion is where you summarize everything that you just said, you focus on the main ideas that you introduced, and you can leave the paraphrasing up earlier in the paper. Yeah. Great example, Ruba. Ruba's a little bit ahead of us though, because we're not going to look at research paper structure today. We're going to focus on the things you need to do before you put it into an organized essay. Nasser, please, I saw your hand.
Yes, my question is about paraphrasing.
Yes.
Can I say paraphrasing is my opinion about something?
Ooh, this one I can answer with a short answer. No.
No.
Paraphrasing is, now, usually in summarizing, this is not really your opinion either, but we're going to talk about how summarizing does include your perception, your opinions, and the argument you want to make. So summarizing is a little bit closer to sort of what you want to do with the text, but in paraphrasing, Nasser, and maybe this is a good time to go to the next slide, you're just repeating what the text said, no interpretation, no judgment, no opinion, no criticism. It's just, this is what this author said. Make sense?
Yes, thank you.
And and the example that I brought for us today, you'll see, I'll show you the difference between opinion and not opinion.
Yes.
Thank you for an excellent question, Nasser. So I'm gonna continue. If you still have questions, hold on to them. We'll look at them together. But this is our paraphrasing review before I start to introduce summarizing. Okay, so paraphrasing review. When do we paraphrase? Again, I think that most of our textbooks do a good job of trying to talk about how to do this, but when is a different idea. So when the ideas in the original text are important, but the wording is not, and when you've already quoted the original text and need to include some of your own writing. Now, again, at 315 and 325 level, you might have an article that you love with great ideas that you want to use in your essay. So you want to quote those ideas. Okay, that's great. But maybe in 315, or even in this class, you know, you've copy and pasted a whole paragraph or 2 paragraphs from the writing. And that's if you copy and pasted good, rich, and interesting paragraphs, I don't get too upset, but I will say, okay, you need to paraphrase, you need to use your own words, because this is just a big part of US academic English, which is you can't copy and paste too much. Even if you quote something, fine, great, cite it, but you can't copy and paste 2 paragraphs. That's why you really need paraphrasing. And the other thing I could add to this slide, since I'm thinking about Irina was sort of mentioning about length. So I'm going to add this to the list of when, because it was a really good point that Irina just made. I'd also add when you don't need to worry about length, right? Remember, a paraphrase is usually about the same length as the original text. So if you're paraphrasing a paragraph, your paraphrase should be about a paragraph. Now, if you're writing something that's shorter and words are precious, then you might want to go for summarizing. So when do we paraphrase? When the original wording isn't important, but the ideas are. When you've already quoted too much and you need to put some things in your own words. And when you have the space in your writing to do so. Now, how do we do this? And we're going to practice on the next slide. The first one, I put this one in red because it is so important. Understand every word of the text you're paraphrasing. And there's no fun or exciting way to say this, but like, if you don't understand what you just read, I'll just be honest with you, you can't paraphrase it. Like, it's not possible for you to paraphrase it if you don't understand what you just read. So when we start to practice paraphrasing and summarizing, if I'm asking you to summarize or paraphrase something, please do not sit down to start typing if you don't know what you just read or you just watched, because it will be painful. You will not have fun. Don't do it. Don't do it. So what you need to do is use any or all of the reading strategies that we've talked about in this class, right? Or if you're taking this class with me, come to office hours and sit and we can talk about the reading or the book to make sure that you understand it. So I put this one in red because, again, if you don't understand what you read, you can't paraphrase it. There's not much more for me to say about that one. Next, remember, you want to use the organization of the original text. That means you just keep the sentences in the same order. We're going to look at the next slide here. This is a paragraph from lesson 15, right? There's 3 sentences here. When you write your paraphrase, you should keep those sentences in the same order. Sentence 1, sentence 2, sentence 3. If you're paraphrasing a longer page of text, you want to keep the order the same, right? So just use the same structure and organization of the original text. Next, you're going to replace words in the original text with synonyms. This is another reason that if you don't understand what you just read, you are not going to be able to paraphrase it, because you can't find a synonym for a word if you don't know the meaning of that word. Finally, you can edit the sentence structure for more variety when possible. And now that I know that Liz and Ting and other students are in Professor Rao's Grammar 320 class, I know that you know how to edit sentence structure to make a different variety of sentences so that you're not just using, you know, complex sentence, complex sentence, complex sentence, right? The idea isn't to copy the exact sentence structure of the paraphrase. So you do want to make changes to the style and sentence structure when you can, but I'll also say at 325, try this and practice this, but I'm not going to fail you if you have the same sentence structure as the original text. Do you know what I'm saying? So for us at 325, it's more important that you're trying this than that you get it perfect. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any questions about this material before we start to practice?
Let's start practice.
Liz says, let's go. Does this make sense? Even if you're like, that's great, Jeff, how do we do it? Does this make sense? Gloria's nodding yes. I can see your faces. This is not happy silence.
Teacher,
Ting, maybe we should just, everyone's doing this. Oh, yeah. Yes, Ting, please go ahead.
Did you say for paraphrasing, we couldn't change the order of the sentences?
I'm saying don't. I'm saying for this class today, keep the same, if you have a paragraph, keep the structure of that paragraph the same. Now, when we start to write 5-page research papers, you're going to have to move things around a little bit. But again, and why do we do this, Ting? Why do we try to keep the organization the same? Is because if you keep the organization the same, it is more likely that the meaning will connect and transfer over, right? If you use the same organization, but with different words, you're going to get the same order of ideas into your paraphrase that is already there in the original text. And again, all these are rules that I'm teaching at 325. As you keep writing English, right, you get to be more creative and play around with it a little bit more. But for us, that's the main reason to keep the organization the same. Does that make sense, Ting?
Okay.
Okay, she sounds skeptical, but let's see. And we're going to practice doing it on the next slide. Anybody else with questions before we practice? Okay. So this will look familiar. This is from Why Translation Matters, and this is one of the activities that I asked you to do on lesson 15, paraphrase practice, okay? So I'm going to read this out loud and then I'll tell you how this paragraph is what we're going to paraphrase today. So here's the paragraph, and then I'm going to put you in groups to do the activity, but first I'll just read it, so read along with me. So this is from Grossman on page 52. The free, essential exchange of literary ideas, insights, and institutions, a basic reciprocity of thought, facilitated and enhanced by the translation of works from other cultures, is a decisively significant, even defining phenomenon. I think it reasonable to suggest that we can use the wide availability of and free access to translations in any society as a clear, determinative sign of vigorous, uncensored freedom of communication, an issue that deserves to be at the forefront of our political thinking. It is a compelling and original benchmark to consider in our continual, crucially important efforts to protect liberty. Okay, a lot going on. Lots of vocab here, but let's start very simple. How many sentences are in this paragraph?
Three.
Irina, good. I see. Yes, 3. Sura saying 3. You're going to say, I got you back in gallery view. I can see you all now. Yes, there are 3 sentences. So when we finish this activity, at the end of this activity, how many sentences will I ask you to have in your paraphrase?
3.
Yes, thank you. Yes, 3. Now, again, this sentence at the beginning here, the free essential, let's say this first sentence is about literary ideas. So in your paragraph, in your paraphrase, the first sentence should be about what?
Literally ideas.
Thank you, Gloria. Gloria is with me every step of the way. And this second sentence, let's say it's about free access to translations. What should the second sentence of your paraphrase be about?
Free access to the translation.
Gloria, I'll let you finish. Give me number 3 too, Gloria. Sentence number 3, let's say it's about efforts to protect liberty. What is going to be the idea in sentence 3, Gloria?
Efforts to protect liberty.
Right, so that's what I mean by following the structure here, right? So for this activity that we're going to do right now, I don't want you to worry about, oh my God, what should I say in the first, second, or third sentence? I'm telling you, we already know, okay? Your paraphrase is going to be 3 sentences long. And it's going to follow the same structure as this original activity. And in fact, I'm trying this activity today. The activity that we're going to try here is, this is so simple that I'm going to put you back into small groups. And in your group, you're going to paraphrase just 1 sentence. So group 1, you're going to paraphrase the first sentence. Group 2, you're going to paraphrase the second sentence. And group 3, you're going to paraphrase the second sentence. Now, in order to do this, I think that there are several vocabulary words that you will need to look up and understand better before you understand the meaning of your sentence. So group 1, and that's just by your breakout rooms, okay? And you'll know this, but I'll tell you. Breakout room 1, I see people writing things down. Please do. Breakout room is Liz, Ina, Irina, and Ruba. So Gloria, you're in group 2. Group 1, you're gonna, I want you to look up reciprocity, facilitate, decisively, and phenomenon. And just like usual, you can go to Google Translate, you can go to whatever your preferred dictionary is, but you know mine is Learner's Dictionary, and I'm gonna put into the chat the link to that website. Just again, I know you've got this, but I'll put it in there again. So learnersdictionary.com. Group 2 is Alina, Ting, Gloria, and Hangama. And I want you to look up determinative, vigorous, and forefront. Determinative, vigorous, and forefront. Group 3, that is Claudio, Mohammed, Nasser, and Olga. I want you to look up compelling and benchmark. Now, if you need to look up other words to understand the text, that's great. If you need to practice any of the reading strategies that we have practiced in order to understand the full meaning of your sentence, that is fine too. But again, first, I want you to look up these vocabulary words, make sure that you understand the meaning. And then if you want to practice finding and using a synonym, you can do that too. And again, I'll copy and paste the link to thesaurus.com. I think I made a typo there, but the internet will help me. So again, all links that we've looked at before, but just so that you have them in the chat again. So if you're looking for synonyms, once you've looked up the meaning for these words, fine. But remember, I know I've said this before too, but what I don't want you to do is don't go straight to thesaurus.com and type in vigorous and then just replace the word vigorous with a synonym to a word that you don't understand. What happens then is, even though you spent 20 minutes doing a paraphrase, it still sounds like Google Translate. I would rather that it sounds like you in simple language than it sounds like Google Translate. Cool? Okay, so here's what I'm going to do as well. In the chat, I'm going to copy and paste the sentences that you're going to paraphrase with your group. Okay, so again, group 1, you can copy and paste your sentence from the chat. You can write it down, whatever you want to do. But group 1, make sure someone in your group has that sentence. There's the first sentence. Group 2, here's your sentence in the chat. And group 3, everyone is thinking, oh my God, group 3, they have it so easy. Their sentence is so short. Group 3, here's your sentence. Now, again, I'm going to give you guys some time to do this, but it would probably be a good idea for one person in your group at least to be typing or writing this sentence out, because when we come back together, I do want one person from your group to be able to copy and paste whatever your paraphrase is so that we can put it on a slide and look at all 3 sentences together after we come back. Does that make sense? Did I explain that okay? Gloria says okay, Aruba says okay. Okay, any questions before I open up the break rooms and you guys start to look up meaning and start to paraphrase just one sentence, Any questions?
Yeah, how much time will we have for it?
Good question. The number in my mind is 15 minutes. If we need more time, we can always extend it.
Good.
Liz is approved, so that's good. Any other questions? I am going to pop into each of your rooms, okay? So I'll come talk to each group just like I did the last time that we did an activity like this. But I do want to give you guys at least 5 minutes alone. So the first 5 minutes, just talk to each other. Then I'll start popping into your groups. Make sense? Cool. Does everybody have their sentence? At least one person have their sentence for the group. And I'll make sure, I think I already have this in the settings, but remember, you guys can share your screens in your groups too. So if one person wants to share their screen to your group members, you can do that as well, okay? So I'm gonna open up the rooms again. Ooh, Sapire, I'm gonna send you to group.
I was in group 3.
Oh, you're in group 3, okay, perfect. I'm sending you to group 3. And Suda, I'm gonna send you to group. Good question. Sura, I'm going to send you to group 1.
Okay.
Cool. Alina, Claudio, any questions? Can I help you? Did you get your invitation, Alina?
I'm sorry. I was writing down. Sorry.
Todo bien, todo bien. Did you get your invitation, room 3?
Yeah.
Perfecto. Alina, questions? Oh, she gone. So I will try to follow my my comments there, and I'll hang out here for about 5 minutes, and then I'll go pop in individually. Do you want to come with me when I do that, Mark? You want to hang out here? What would be best for you?
Actually, I'm probably going to call this, this is probably going to be enough, I think.
Okay, sounds good.
You know, I don't need to sit through the whole thing, honestly.
You get it.
Well, I think I've done my due diligence, and, you know, I saw your whole thing last year, not that long ago.
I know.
And I was kind of surprised that the second year in a row, they have us go through an entire thing like this. Usually it's, they must have changed it, because in the past, if you get evaluated like the full, whatever they call it, the A plan or whatever.
Yeah.
Let me put on my video here, sorry. Okay, when you put on the A plan there, the, that's where everybody comes to your course and does the worksite invitation, you know, worksite review and all this kind of stuff. But then in the other years, like in other words, it's every other year, the off years are just, all you do is have the students fill out the form. That's all they do. So maybe because you're not tenured yet, I'm thinking they must have added that additional need.
We get it. Yeah, maybe we get it.
But I don't know why, because, you know, it wasn't broken before. I don't recall ever even, I'm not even talking our department or area, but for my years on curriculum and in Senate, I don't think I can think of one instance really where a full-time hire was, you know, not kept. Honestly, there may have been one or two that I didn't know of, but so in other words, the way we were doing things seems to have worked. You know, the vetting, the interviewing, the whole thing. We seem to end up with people that can do the job, and so. And if you visit them the first year and they're still doing the job, it seems like what, you got to check a second year just to make sure. It's a little bit overkill for me.
I think we get to do it again in 2 years as well. But I think next year, my understanding is I get a year off, and then we could do this all again in year 4. So.
Oh, I don't know. That's again something new. But once you get past that watermark, then then it's every 3 years you get reviewed, and then it's only every other time that it's the full review. So it's really every 6 years that you get the visits like this.
Got it.
Unless they change that again too. So,
well,
but since I saw you in the, on the second floor of Davies Hall less than a year ago, and you seem to be okay, I'm glad to see you still incorporating the PowerPoint. It's a tool that I like also because it keeps me on pace, like where I should be in the lecture and timing and pacing the whole thing. And it's nice for the students to have a copy as well.
I think so too. I think especially more and more, well, we'll get to talk about it more next week, but in the full meeting with Diana. But I do think when I think about this online space, which I think there are great pros and great cons, I think one thing that really empowers the students is just giving them a bunch of stuff, like giving them a bunch of resources that they feel like, okay, even if I'm stressed or overwhelmed or my kid's in the background, like I've got that there. And you know what, Mark, maybe they don't go back to the PowerPoint, but I feel like there's great value for them in feeling like, well, if I can, or when there's time or whatever, I know I have this resource that the teacher chose to make available to me. So I appreciate you saying that, because I think it's the same. I think it's true. I think they appreciate it. I think they really do.
Yeah, so I'll let you get into your breakout rooms, but you know, keep fighting the good fight, Jeff. I know this is a tough way to begin a new career with this, but
here we are. I mean, careful what you wish for. You know what I mean? All I want is that tenure track job, and then look at what happens. You know.
Well, you know, I don't think this is going to stay forever. I mean, there's so much talk about, well, maybe on the K through 12 way, but I think it'll extrapolate to college. I think that people realize this was a good Band-Aid, but it's not a cure.
Yeah, I think, I try to do a good job, like I said, just saying good pros and cons to everything in life. But I was talking to Kat in the lab, and my thing that I'm pretty certain about is there's great things about Zoom. The ability to connect like this, the ability to connect with the students, especially on small scales, is great. But I just don't think it's great for teaching. I think it's great for giving some students the ability to like do self-guided learning. I think learning takes place, but this is just not conducive for what a teacher does, which is to create opportunities and moments for learning to organically take place across a group of human beings, and that's just not what this thing is about.
Yeah, I know that in my classes, it was very common where I would just grab people, come on up here, my volunteer, come on up here, come on up here, you know, a little impromptu acting, things like that. You lose that spontaneity. It's a little bit more prescribed than I'd like, but we're
Yeah.
getting through it.
Yeah, we're doing our best. That's for sure.
All right. Well, nice seeing you again, Jeff.
You too, Mark.
If you need anything from me, let me know. Otherwise, you know, take care.
I'll see you Monday. Bye, Mark.
Bye.
I'm bringing everybody back right now.
Yeah.
All right, everybody's coming back in. We'll get to see our paraphrased paragraph here. All right. I think we're all back. Let me check real quick. Great. Yes, we are. Okay, so I went in reverse order. I got to talk to group 3 first. So I want to hear from group 3 at the end here. I want to see what sentence what you came up with and stuck with. But first, I just want to show you all the example paragraph sentences, talk about them, and then look at this all 3 together and then see what we think. So from group 1, remember their sentence said, the free essential exchange of literary ideas, insights, and institutions, a basic reciprocity of thought facilitated and enhanced by the translation of works from other cultures, is a decisively significant, even defining phenomenon. I talked to group 1, they had a bunch of different ideas and kind of brainstorming. These were some of their great sentences. When I left them, we had this, according to Grossman, translations of literature help create the free exchange of ideas from other cultures, and that is a basic way how we all can exchange thoughts with each other and other cultures, and it's very important. Did you guys make any changes? Can you copy and paste a new sentence in the chat, and I'll copy and paste it? Because again, I think one reason I like doing this type of activity is, again, even in just, thank you, Liz, even in just this type of process, we get different drafts, right? First draft and then our revision, we get to make these changes as we go. So here's where we ended up. According to Grossman, translations of literature help create the free reciprocation of ideas from other cultures. And that is a basic way how we all can exchange thoughts with each other. And it's very important. Love it. Really, really, really nice. What do we think? I know this is a lot to look at, but groups, especially group 2 and 3, what do you think? Does it look good? How do you feel? Let's talk about it just for a minute or two, and then we'll look at the next sentence. First,
I have something.
Yeah, how's it?
Good for me.
Ruba, go ahead.
Okay. Instead of free exchange, we can say the unleash interchange or the independent interchange.
Good. I love it. So Ruba is sort of making another synonym suggestion, right? So if you wanted to replace every word, or you felt like maybe we said free too much, you could use a different synonym, right, Ruba?
Yes.
Great. Oh yeah, go ahead.
You can, we have 2 exchange. So one, we can say it interchange, and the other one is the reciprocation.
Exchange. Oh yeah, okay, this was the first draft. I'm gonna make this a different color because this is the final one that Liz just posted. Let's make this blue. It's hard to read. We'll make the final draft dark red. They're the powerful ones. I love Ruba pointing out in this first one, that's kind of hard to see when it's
Make it green.
That's really hard to see. Maybe like that, better?
Yes.
Got it. Yes, in the first one, like Ruba was saying, we had exchange, and that's why, again, when I left group 1, I was just sort of asking them if they wanted to change some of the style, if they wanted to get rid of some of the repeated words, and they did that, right? In the final draft of this sentence, we only have exchange 1 time. So again, Ruba is just doing a great job giving us some more synonyms there as well. Good. Anybody else? Things you notice or see about this paraphrase? Gloria, did you have anything?
It works for me very good.
Good, I agree. Anybody else have anything about this one? Love it. Group 2, and let's see if there's any revisions we need to change. So group 2, the original was, I think it reasonable. Hold on, someone posted in the chat. Is this your final, Gloria? Okay. We'll say revision 2. This is my favorite thing about teaching writing, you guys, is drafting. It's so important. So let's see. Group 2 had, I think it reasonable to suggest that we can use the wide availability of and free access to translations in any society is a clear, determinative sign of a vigorous, uncensored freedom of communication, an issue that deserves to be at the forefront of our political thinking. I'll let you guys look at the first draft, but let's just look at the final one Gloria just posted. The author assumes that we can apply the widespread of uncensored translation from other cultures in our society at the leading position. Can apply the widespread, hold on, sorry, I got caught up in language. The author assumes that we can apply the widespread of uncensored translation. The widespread something, this was a widespread availability.
Usage.
Widespread is almost always an adjective. I love that you're using it like a noun here, but
the widespread usage of uncensored translation.
Love it. I love it. Thank you for giving me a noun to make this phrase make sense grammatically, Gloria. The author assumes that we can apply the widespread usage of uncensored translation from other cultures in our society at the leading position of our political thinking to support an autonomy of speech and facilitate the free exchange of literary ideas, insights, and institutions. I love it. Thoughts? What do you notice? Group 1, Group 3, what do you think? Anything? We're getting paraphrasing brain. I can see we're getting tired. Let's look at Group 3 then. Group 3, when I left you, you guys were still working because I talked to you guys first. Can someone copy and paste into the chat what you had, and then maybe we can just look at the whole paragraph together. So who was that in Group 3? Claudio was there, and I know we had a few other people in Group 3.
Ola will send you.
Oh, thank you, Olga.
Sorry.
No problem.
I'm just.
No problem. Take a breath. It's all good. Just when you can, copy and paste what you guys came up with. Okay. Into the chat. We scared Olga. She was taking care of some real life stuff, I think.
Yeah.
This happens. Perfect. And just so you guys see, what I'm doing now is I'm just making this a page for our full translation, our finished, our I'm sorry, our full paraphrase.
I'm sorry that you guys are waiting for me. Here
No, it's nice. The silence is nice. Don't worry about it. All right. So our original, thank you, Olga. Our original was, it is a compelling and original benchmark to consider in our continual, crucially important efforts to protect liberty. And we have, it is a forcible and reference point to bring up in our very important efforts to protect freedom. What do we notice? This is a short sentence. There's some really good stuff. And there's one thing I do think we need to talk about. What do you guys see? Group 1, Group 2, what do you think?
You need to change it somehow. I don't like protect freedom.
Okay. I think this is again, good
And
job.
positive effort.
Good job finding synonyms. I think this is an example of word for word paraphrasing. And remember, just like translation, word for word paraphrasing sometimes sounds a little awkward and doesn't feel like real language. Like, it is a compelling and original benchmark. It is a forcible and reference point to bring. I think some of these are a little too word for word. Now, when we get to the end, very important efforts to protect freedom. I love continual, crucially important, good. Efforts, maybe we could find another word. Protect, we could probably find another word. Freedom for liberty, okay. So group 3, how could we change this? What's compelling mean? Forcible was good. What was another synonym for compelling?
Interesting.
Okay. Yep. Powerful was another one I thought was interesting for this word compelling. It's an interesting and original benchmark. Benchmark is like a reference point, so that's good. But how else could we say this another way? Did you guys have a different option?
Maybe icon.
Icon is good. Usually if a benchmark is asking you, I'll give you another word here. This is partly about vocabulary. It's partly why paraphrasing is so hard for language learners, because it is about vocabulary and idiom meaning to a certain extent. So again, all I'm asking you to do for this class is do your best, but because a benchmark is kind of like a way to measure something, right? Like the benchmark is at this point, you have a C, at this point, it's a B, at this point, it's an A. That is kind of like measuring where you are to see your progress or your success. So it's an interesting, what, please?
Can I say criterion?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And here, original just means new. She's sort of saying, this is an interesting way to think about freedom. She's saying, an interesting and original novel is like, we've heard the novel coronavirus. You might have heard novel coronavirus, novel. Novel means brand new, right? Novel means new. It doesn't just mean the book that I make you read in 350. So a novel criterion, an original measurement, a novel measurement to bring up in our very important efforts to protect freedom. And how about this? Another, what's consider? Let's keep it really simple. If I'm considering an idea, if I'm considering a plan, what am I really doing?
Figure it out.
Give me an even simpler word. Consider. It's what I do with my brain.
Think.
Thank you.
Brainstorming.
Yeah, brainstorming is good. I think if you think about what consider means, it usually means to think about. It means to think about. I don't even know another synonym for it. If I'm considering something, I'm thinking about it. I'm debating. I mean, it's thinking. It's kind of thinking. So it is an interesting and original or novel criterion or measurement to think about in our very important efforts to protect freedom. Now we've got, it's less of a word for word. Here's the original. Here's the first draft. And again, I'm doing this partly so you guys can look at it later on when I post the PowerPoint today. But here's our revision. So instead of, it is a forcible and reference point to bring up in our very important efforts to protect freedom, it is an interesting and original measurement to think about in our very important efforts to protect freedom. I'm going to say original, and I'm going to go with criterion because it sounds more academic and it came from one of you guys. So we're almost done. I want to add this to our full paraphrase. So here's our paraphrase that we came up together. We only need to do one thing to change it. According to Grossman, translators of literature help create the free reciprocation of ideas from other cultures. And that is a basic way how we all can exchange thoughts with each other. And it's very important. Now, remember, if you're going to paraphrase a whole paragraph, you don't need to do according to Grossman in every sentence. So here we can just get rid of.
The author assume.
Yes, yes. We could say something like a good way to do this is sort of classic traditional transition words in academic English. Further, we can further, or in addition, or additionally. I don't know, do you guys like one of these? Further, in addition, additionally. Do you like one better than the other? I'll just tell you, as a PhD student, this was the one I used. This is Jeff's favorite. In addition, I use this all the time. All the time is my transition to link sentences together. So in addition, also, we can apply the widespread usage of uncensored translation from other cultures in our society at the leading position of our political thinking to support an autonomy of speech and facilitate the free exchange of literary ideas, insights, and institutions. It's an interesting and original criterion to think about in our very important efforts to protect freedom. How's it look? I saw Liz say, wow. I agree. One of my favorite things as a teacher is when I see things that you guys make and I go, it looks really good, is the truth. It looks very, very good. And here's the other thing I want to just say, that each group did a great job. I think, and you tell me if you agree, it still sounds very academic, right? It sounds like the exact same ideas. It still sounds very academic, but it's clearly in different words. Make sense?
Yeah.
Now, here's my, we only have 5 minutes now, but how was this? Easy, hard, in between?
Hard.
Hard.
I want to add, it looks like I would never do like this.
Why?
Yeah.
Say a little bit more. I love it. Why not?
Because I can't.
And
maybe I need more practice.
Okay.
Practice.
And vocabulary.
When we finished and I see this, it looks difficult, but I understand maybe I can do it. But without this, no.
Yeah. It's much, I think, my opinion, I think paraphrasing, quoting, and summarizing, paraphrasing is by far the most difficult. Like I said, native speakers who only speak English that I went to school with at UC Davis struggle. It's hard. I think it's hard because it takes very high reading and writing skills together. Summarizing is not as important. That's not as important. In summarizing, you only need to understand the main idea. When you're paraphrasing, you need to understand every sentence, and that's more difficult. That means it's a different level for reading skill. You know, I think, and just my opinion, no textbook is going to say that, but I think that's why it feels more difficult.
And about paraphrasing, you have to have very high level vocabulary.
It's hard. I agree.
Of vocabulary.
Or you have to have a teacher to talk to about it, because yeah, it's hard. It's hard. And that's why I don't have a paraphrasing exam, because it's very, very, very difficult. This is one of those things where you just have to practice. I think maybe, yeah, any other questions or ideas? Because we've only got 3 minutes here. I wanted to introduce summarizing today, but I think it's very important that we spent the whole class on paraphrasing. So let me show you what I've got in Canvas, and I think I'm going to change it a little bit. So if you go to modules, oh, and here's what I said for, I'm going to change this, so I'm not even going to show you. So I have lessons 16 and 17 as summarizing practice, but I'm going to change these. I'm going to call this lesson 17. And this lesson 18. And I'm going to create a new lesson to just help you. I'm just going to put another paragraph, not from Why Translation Matters. I'm actually going to put a paragraph from Hyperfocus in there, because when I introduce summarizing next week, we're going to introduce some of the ideas and concepts from Hyperfocus, because we're switching now. We're going to academic nonfiction non-literary writing, right? So what I will do is I'm going to create a new assignment. Let me do, and I'm not going to do this in front of you, but new assignment, lesson 16, paraphrasing 2. So here's what I'm going to say for what to do for next week, okay? So I've got a bunch of stuff in Canvas now today. So here's what I'm going to say. So like Ting was asking, what's up with the grades for lesson 15? I wanted to wait to grade until we got to talk about this together. So if after you've done this, you're like, oh my God, now I know how to do this, or I feel better about it and I want to redo that, please, you can do that too. Okay, so here's what we're doing. If you like, revise and resubmit lesson 15. That's just more practice doing paraphrasing. Complete lesson 16, paraphrasing practice 2. That's what I just put in Canvas, and I'll do this right now. It'll just be a paragraph from Hyperfocus, and you'll just get to do exactly what we just did in class. And I'll just do one paragraph, okay? So do that.
It's only about our new book, yes?
Yes, it'll be,
Hyperfocus.
yeah, it'll be about, hold on. I think that almost everyone has this book now, but if you don't, now is the time. Next week, we're going to go. I know some people told me they already started reading. If you started reading, keep going. We're going to read the whole book. We're going to go a little bit, we're going to be much more focused than on A Map is Only One Country, because we got 8 weeks with this book, right? We've got 8 weeks and 2 writing assignments connected to what we talk about with this text, okay? So bring this next week, be ready. But for between now and then, my suggestion is if you want to go back, revise, and resubmit lesson 15, complete lesson 16, paraphrasing practice 2. I'll put that in Canvas right now. Literally, it's going to take me about 10 minutes. But if you do go fast, you can look at 17 and 18 because they are in Canvas, but they're about summarizing, not about paraphrasing. So if you want to go fast, go for it. If you want to go slow, wait until I introduce and review this material next week. Also, if you go into modules, you'll see I put a ton of information and resources about the next genre that we're going to write, summary and response. So again, if you're going fast and you want to start to look at some of that material, you can do that as well. Okay, so it's 2:15, it's 2:16. If you got to go, go. And it was good to see you. If not, I can hang out, answer any questions you have. But again, I just wanted to say, if you got to go, see ya. Now, questions about the end here? Any questions?
I have a question about student Zoom before our class. For 2 days, I entered the Zoom, but I didn't found you there. How we should make appointment to come on student Zoom, or
Which day? Thursday?
Yeah, on Thursday.
Sometimes I'm in the room, but sometimes it blocks people out or you get locked out. If you're trying to get, here's the short answer to that, Sepida. If you're trying to get in and you can't, or it doesn't look like it's open, text me, because sometimes there's a problem in Zoom. I need to change the setting or something, and I just can't see that you're there. So text me and I can just make sure to fix any computer problem there is, okay? Like on Thursday, Sepida?
Yeah, it was Thursday at 11 o'clock.
Today? Yeah, today. Text.
Not today, last week.
Okay, yeah, it's weird because sometimes I can see like students knocking on the door, and other times Canvas or Zoom just doesn't show it to me. So any problem, you can't get in, text me, and then I'll know I can fix it in live time.
Okay, thank you.
I'm so sorry about that, Sepida, too. That's very frustrating. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
What else? Any other questions?
Just wanted to say thank you for your lesson, and it was really helpful.
Oh, good.
I understood my mistakes, and I'll try to do
good.
Better.
That makes me happy to hear that. Good, good, good. Thank you, Liz. Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, teacher.
Of course.
Can
thank
I
you.
ask question
Yes, Alina.
about midterm? It's October 30.
Yeah, I'm still debating what to do about this. We will have a live Zoom, Alina, and I'm still debating how to do it. Like I said in the syllabus, the school requires me to give you a midterm. I don't really want to right now. I feel tired and cranky, and I feel like you're all tired too. So I'm gonna think about how to do it. But whatever we do, Alina, I promise it will be easy.
Because next lesson 10:29.
Yeah.
Next 30. Next day. Time to
write. Yeah, we'll talk about it. Remember, the original plan I had was to give you some small writing assignment that you had 24 hours to do. Maybe I'll just make it more paraphrasing practice. So instead of a midterm, it is a practice, but you will have only one day to do it. That's sort of something I'm just thinking now. I need to see how we're doing, if people are behind or ahead, so that I can see how easy to make it, if that makes sense.
It's not will be essay. Yes.
No essay. No essay. No essay.
Okay.
Like I
Thank
said, it'll be easy. It'll be easy.
Okay, good. Thank you.
How easy is the only question. Who else? Bye, Gloria. Thank you. Good to see you. Anybody else? Questions? I'm going to stop recording.